Today, more than 100 new laws went into effect across our state, including one of the most controversial we have seen in recent years. House Bill 7, otherwise known as the Reproductive and Gender-Affirming Healthcare Freedom Act, protects access to abortion and gender hormone treatments by preventing local governments from getting in the way. Griffin Rushton followed this bill throughout the Roundhouse, throughout the session. It's been controversial from the very beginning, Griffin.
Yeah, some of the most heated debates we saw in the Roundhouse this year were all centered on this bill. A lot of the back and forth, even now, is focused on what the bill says people can't do and how far those restrictions actually go.
We've seen a lot of misinformation out there about the restrictions within this bill, or maybe the allowances too. So what does the bill actually say?
Well, first, it's important to know who this bill actually affects. It specifically restricts what public bodies can do. That includes city councils, county commissions, advisory boards, school districts, public universities, really any group receiving public funding. That also includes people who work on behalf of public bodies, such as teachers and police officers. The bill does not restrict parents. As for the restrictions, public bodies cannot discriminate against people who use or refuse the services. They can't interfere, limit, or restrict access to the services, and that includes through ordinances or policies. They also can't block someone's ability to receive reproductive care through prosecution or punishment. Now, some of the misinformation that we've seen about this bill claims that those restrictions inherently force doctors and teachers, for example, to help facilitate abortions and hormone treatments, even if they're against them.
Yeah. And we know that we spoke to an attorney, right, who kind of clears this up for everybody.
Yeah, she says that that claim that this bill is forcing those people to do that is just not true.
So it doesn't mean that they have a duty to go take them anywhere. It just means that when the situation presents itself, they cannot discriminate and they cannot prohibit people from seeking or refusing reproductive health care or gender-affirming care.
Now, we should add that this bill says doctors who don't already perform those kinds of procedures, let's say an eye doctor, well, they are not required to do so. But the doctors who do are allowed to use their medical judgment to say no, as long as that's based on medical care standards.
I want to talk about the gender-affirming surgeries and the so-called puberty blockers. What is the standard of care for young patients?
Well, both of those treatments are usually reserved for teenagers. The World Professional Association of Transgender Health, which maintains those standards of care, says hormone treatments can start at 14 years old, and some surgeries can happen as early as 15, both of those with parental consent. The executive director of Equality New Mexico told me that doctors in our state are usually a little bit more conservative in that they would prefer to wait for those patients to be closer to 18 before receiving any of those treatments.
That makes sense. I want to talk about parents because there are a lot of claims this bill removes parental consent for abortion and also for gender-affirming treatments.
Well, House Bill 7 does not say the word parent once. There is currently no state law requiring parental consent for abortions, even for children under 18 years old. House Bill 7 does not change that. As for gender-affirming treatments, the current standards of care says young patients with unsupportive parents who then undergo these treatments are usually worse off than patients who don't undergo any treatment. So unless the parents are on board, it's unlikely that a doctor will go through with the treatment.
And that's a big point there. There was never parental consent to begin with if teens are needing to seek abortion or abortion pills. So again, HB 7 is not taking that away. So I guess after everything, it really seems this law is kind of leaving it up to the doctors and the patients to figure out treatment plans together. Yeah,
and the attorney I spoke with says that's really the entire point of this bill.
This is just the ability to do something, that you have that protection and that nobody's forced to use these services or, seek out reproductive health care. We're just saying that this is protected now in our state.
Now, she does admit it is hard to say what is and isn't discrimination in these specific cases, but she says that's really up for the courts to decide.
That's where it's going to get sticky. Okay, Griffin, thanks for the breakdown. Makes sense. Thank you.